One of my gifts that I've had since I was a little girl growing up in Mississippi, being raised on a tiny little acre farm with my grandmother, I knew how to pay attention. I was a great observer of life. And I grew up believing that I was indeed for sure God's child. It's because every Sunday I sat in our little church down the road, a dirt road from where my grandmother lived, no running water, no electricity, no vision of hope or possibility. And I would listen to the preacher preach about the Lord thy God is a loving God, and sometimes he would say the Lord thy God is a jealous God. But most important, I heard him say, you are God's child, and through God, all things are possible. So my vision, my perception, my understanding of what it means to be a universal citizen has grown as I came to understand Acts 17:28, my favorite Bible verse that says, in God I move and breathe and have my being. Having that belief system that something greater than me was in charge of my destiny, of my fate, that it wasn't just me alone having to survive for myself, is the rock that has sustained me. When you look at where I've come from, a little town, apartheid town, in Kosciuszko, Mississippi in 1954, where there was no vision or hope for you. My grandmother's greatest desire for me, as she had been a maid and her mother before her had been a maid, her greatest desire was that I would grow up one day and be able to do the same.
Would you like to work for me? Be my maid?
Hell no.
What did you say?
Hell no.
My ability to step into literally the flow and grace that I call God is what has gotten me here. And I consistently mind that, because having a spiritual life isn't something that you can attain because you already are a spiritual life. There is no one else in creation like you. There's nobody like you. And what you've come to do and what you have to offer is like no other. No one brings the level of uniqueness and authenticity that you can bring. Nobody does it like you. And understanding that what you have to offer, what you've come to give to the planet, is your gift, your offering in a way that nobody else can, and how much that matters. It matters to you, it matters to the people that you love, and it matters to our planet that you are here. It's a miracle that we get to be here. And when I think of my life and the fact that nobody really kind of wanted me in the beginning, my father had sex with my mother one time. Can you imagine? That was a powerful seed. He wasn't in love with her. He said she was wearing a poodle skirt and he wanted to know what was up under there. And she showed him by an oak tree. And to think that something as random as my mother's poodle skirt, to think that something as random as that would create a little Negro child in Mississippi who grew up and had and has had and continues to have the opportunities that I've had, that is, I can assure, that is nothing but grace. It's grace. It's grace because I was allowed to step into the flow of it and let it carry me to this moment. And I'm not telling you what to believe or who to believe or what to call it, but there is no full life, no fulfilled, meaningful, sustainably joyful life without a connection to the Spirit. I haven't seen it happen. I believe that prayer conscious kindness, empathy, consistent compassion, gratitude, all spiritual practices. You must have a spiritual practice. What is yours? About the late 80s, someone introduced the idea of a gratitude journal to me. I guarantee if you did it for a week, you would see a difference. Every day, 5 things I write down that I am grateful for, or that brought me joy, or opened my heart space. There comes a time in everybody's life when you've actually done all that you can do and you really want something so badly, but it still isn't coming forward for you in a way that you feel that it should. I know that what is for you will come to you. I know that for sure. And I know that many times when it appears that something is happening to you, it is always, always happening for you. The 3 things that I want to leave with you will carry you if you let them. First and foremost, knowing who you are. Knowing who you are. Being able to answer this question, who am I? And what do I want? I'm not asking for the roles that you play. I'm asking the bigger question of who am I? Who am I really? My answer is I am God's child. I am that which is born of all that is. A spiritual being having a human experience, trailing the breath of the angels, and understanding that because I am connected to the source of all that is possible for me. That's who I am. And what do I want? I don't want to just be successful in the world. The answer to that question for me is I want to fulfill the highest, truest expression of myself as a human being. I want to fulfill the promise that the Creator dreamed when he dreamed the cells that made up me. What do I want? You must have some kind of vision for your life. Even if you don't know the plan, you have to have a direction in which you choose to go. I never was the kind of woman who liked to get in a car and just go for a ride. I had a boyfriend who would say, let's just go for a ride. I want to know, where are we going? Do we have a destination? Is there a plan? Or are we just riding? What I've learned is that's a great metaphor for life. You want to be in the driver's seat of your own life, because if you're not, life will drive you. So, knowing who you really are in this space and time that we embody. Number 2, you must find a way to serve.
Inspiring habits.
Martin Luther King said that not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great, because greatness is determined by service. Now, we live in a world where everybody wants to be famous, and where we admire people for just being famous. We think being known brings us value. The truth is, all of that will fade in time. In 3 years, you won't be able to name the housewives of Atlanta. Service and significance. Service and the significance that you bring to your service is that which is lasting. Whatever your occupation or job or talent or gift is, what they have in common is service, using the spoken word in service to community and the world. If you look at all the most successful people in the world, whether they know it or not, they have that paradigm of service. You want to be able to own yourself and make your own decisions. You never want to be in a position where something is that important to you to do and you can't do it because the boss says you can't. When you shift the paradigm of whatever it is you choose to do to service and you bring significance to that, success will, I promise you, follow you. Service and significance equals success. That's number 2. Number 3, it's so simple, but so hard to do. Always do the right thing. Always. Be excellent. People notice. Think of how you notice. You go to Taco Bell, somebody gives you extra napkin and some sauce. You notice. You want to go back to that person. Because even at Taco Bell, excellence shows itself. Let excellence be your brand. Everybody talks about building a brand. I never even knew what that was. When people say, you're a brand, I would say, no, I'm just Oprah. What I recognize now is that my choice to, in every way, in every example, in every experience, to do the right thing and the excellent thing is what has created the brand. And what I know is that when you are excellent, you become unforgettable. People remember you. You stand out, regardless of what it is. And that is what we all want. We want to be unforgettable and not forgettable. So doing the right thing, even when nobody knows you're doing the right thing, will always bring the right thing to you. I promise you that. Why? Because the third law of motion is always at work. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That is so true in all of our lives. So you don't have to worry about revenge or getting back at somebody, making sure they pay. You just have to do the right thing, and the right thing will follow you even when people don't support it. I remember many times on my show. There are many shows y'all never saw. And the reason you didn't see them is because I got the last vote. And I remember 2010, I had done this interview with a woman who turns out she was a Sunday school teacher by day and a sex addict at night. And during the process of the interview, I said, why are you doing this? I said, do you have children? She says, yes, I have a 10-year-old son. I knew right then, this is never going to see the light of day. So we got off the air and I said to the lady, we are not going to air that show. My producer said, why? I said, because her son will never get over it. Her son will never get over it. And it's not worth a rating point to me. Not worth a rating point to me to know that there's a 10-year-old boy who's destroyed because his mother went on the Oprah Winfrey Show and told all her business. You do the right thing, even when other people think it may not be. You always know it's the right thing, when in the end, there is peace. You are rewarded by peace in knowing that you did the right thing. All of you leaving here have the potential for enormous success. There's a price that comes with that. People don't always like you, and they're not always happy for you. And if you surround yourself with people who are not accustomed to your success, they become fearful, they become scared, because you are reflecting back something to them that they don't recognize. That only happens when you are around people who do not mean and want and aspire to the best for you. People who want the best for you want you to be your best. So my greatest advice to you is to surround yourself with people who are going to fill your cup until your cup runneth over. Once your cup runneth over, you cannot spend your life with your gallon-size offerings, offering them to pint-sized people. You have got to surround yourself with gallon-sized people who can hang in the same company with you, so that you're not offering your gallons to those little pints out there. And what I know for sure is that the biggest choices begin and end with you, your internal big questions. Who do I want to be in the world? My relationship to source energy, to all that is God. I'm not talking about what you believe in God. I'm talking about your experience of that which is all life, which is divine and universal. I'm talking about the big deal. Being connected and aligned with that. When you are tuned in and charged into that, whenever you feel empty, you go inside yourself and you connect to the source, and you know that all things are possible. To know that, and to choose to do the right thing in service and significance, I promise you, you will create a vessel of service for yourself first, because you have to honor yourself first. You have to give to yourself first, otherwise you have nothing to give away. You will create a vessel for yourself, for your family, your community, and the world. And those three things will not only lead you to a blessed life. I stand as a witness. My life is so blessed, I can't even take it in sometimes. It will lead you not just to a gifted life and a rewarding life that fills you up, but a sweet life. That's what you want. Even when the storms come, and they will, you'll know this too shall pass. This too shall pass. The storm is passing over, and you shall not be moved, because you know who you are. When you can do that, grace will follow you. The glory God has in store for you is unimaginable to you. You can't even imagine it. You can't even imagine it. Take your glory. It's waiting for you. And run with it. Thank you.
I'm gonna tell you something. You gotta have a tremendous work ethic to be successful in here. In other words, and you can relate to this, you gotta have a lot of dog in you. You really do, man, if you want to be successful, because it's gonna be a lot of trying times. So you have to have a tremendous work ethic. But you got to have faith. Faith without works is dead. You hear it all the time. You go to church and you learn all these scriptures, but then you don't apply none of them to your life. You're looking at a man who has made the simple application of 3 or 4 scriptures and maxed them out to get here. Albert Einstein said once, he said, imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. Everything you have, everything we have in this world, somebody imagined it. It's your imagination is tremendous. Imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. Your real life, the one God really got for you, is in your imagination. It is not in your current situation or your current paycheck. And if you've been living like that, you have then restricted yourself to a commonality that is really not yours. Because what really God got for you is really in your imagination. There is a scripture that Albert Einstein took this quote from. It's like the book The Secret. The Secret is one of the top-selling motivational books ever. But if you read the book The Secret, it's all biblical. Everything comes from the Bible. You really don't need self-help books. You don't need The Magic of Thinking Big, The Power of Positive Thinking, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich, The Winner's Circle. I've read them all. All of that information is in Proverbs, all of it. But let me give you this scripture. You've all heard this, right? Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So when I told you a minute ago, you got to have a tremendous work ethic, but you got to have a lot of faith. I talk to so many people who get older, like some of us are, and they've lost their faith. Well, faith is really simple. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. All that means is in the beginning, you just hope something pop off. You know, you just kind of hope something happened for you. I was hoping I would get on TV. I wrote it on a piece of paper when I was 10, I want to be on TV. The problem I had when I wrote it at 10 was I suffered from a severe stuttering problem. I could not talk outside of my house. So can you imagine when I wrote on a piece of paper, I want to be on TV and turned that in? But when I wrote it on the paper, it wasn't factual. I was just hoping. You just got to start with the hope. Faith is the substance of things that you hope for. You just hope something jump. Then what happened is through grace and favor, he give you a couple of them things you hope for, and then you're supposed to start believing then. Because now it turns into faith. But if you take this scripture, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. What is the evidence of things not seen? I just told it to you. Albert Einstein said, imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attraction. But guess what? Your imagination really is. It's the evidence of things not seen. Because your imagination, you know why it's the evidence of things not seen? Because you're the only one can see it. Your imagination is actually God showing you a preview of a coming attraction that he has for you. The moment you don't believe in your imagination, you negate what he got for you. Your imagination is the preview to life's coming attraction. It is the evidence of things not seen, because can't nobody see it with you. Your problem is you keep telling your imagination to the wrong people. See, if you want to kill a big dream, tell it to a small-minded person. It's dead. How many times, man, have you had a tremendous idea? Something you thought was the one, and you went and told it to your loved ones and your so-called friends, and they shot it down. I mean, you was convinced that it was just, oh man, I just came to you. And you told it to them and they shot it down. And you thought since they was your loved ones and their friends and they got your best interests at heart, you believed them. You was wrong. You let them talk you out of what God got for you. Some of y'all still sitting here with the ambition of opening a business one day, but you scared to go start the business because you got a job and you got bills. Rich people got bills. Everybody got bills. Hell, I got bills. Everybody owes somebody something. I got something with the bank right now. You're going to let the fact that you got some bills stop you from opening the business, the thing that God done put in your imagination? So you're going to squash that because you got bills. Everybody got bills. Your real life is in your imagination. Can you grab what I'm telling you? So I don't know what you thought I was going to say to you. I'm just a real dude. I don't even have the education you all have. I flunked out of school. I ain't got no education. I don't use 4-syllable words. What I'm sharing with you is stuff that everybody can apply today. If you're sitting in here thinking that you're too old to listen to what Steve, hell, I'm 60. But I still rely on my imagination. See, if you think you're too old to make it, let me give you a prime example. Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders has been frying chicken his whole life. He was telling everybody he had the best chicken in the world. Ain't nobody believe him. They turned him down everywhere. Colonel Sanders didn't get a franchise till he was in his 60s. Kentucky Fried Chicken sell more chicken than anybody in the world today. So if you're sitting here thinking because you got a little gray on you, you too late, as long as God waking you up in the morning, that's the sign that he ain't through with you. So what you tripping for? You sitting up in here like God can't do nothing for you because you 60. Man, you know what I'm asking God for right now? And I'm 60. If you could see my vision board, you would be blown away. Because I got enough right now. I really know. But I ain't in the need business. I'm in the want business. Ain't nothing wrong with wanting something. Quit going down to these churches y'all sitting up in here going down to, keeping you in these little boxes. God got a big life for you. The smallest scripture I ever read changed my life. The scripture is real simple. You have not because you ask not. Do you know the difference that could make in your life? I'm just giving you real talk now. I'm just trying to tell you how I got here. See, I have no education. When the last time you really asked him for something? Or do you keep making requests that's inside the confines of your paycheck? When you gonna get outside of that? Didn't I just tell you God ain't in your paycheck? Didn't I just tell you he ain't in your job title? The life God got for you is in your imagination. Why you still imagining stuff? Why you keep dreaming of a summer home? Why you keep dreaming of retirement, leaving your grandkids money? So I'm at the age now where I think about my grandkids. I got 7 TV shows. Dog, I only need one. One show pay me enough money. I need 4 for my wife. The other 3 is for the grandkids. I just need one. I do not live my life in the confines of what anybody says to me. I let my imagination go, and now imagination is a preview to life's coming attraction. But what that really means is God showing you a preview of what he has for you. So now, if you have not because you ask not, do you understand if you up your ask, he has to up his give? This period. This is simple stuff that anybody can apply. You ain't even got to have no degree to do this. You don't even have to have no money to do this. You can start this today and change your whole game because you're going to need grace and favor anyway. You have not because you ask not. Quit asking God for little bitty stuff. Lord Jesus, help me make my rent. Don't he always? All y'all got somewhere to stay. How about this? Why you keep asking for rent? Why don't you ask for a mortgage? If he gonna give you the money for a place to stay, what difference do it make to God? But if you keep saying rent, ain't he fair? He keep giving you rent. If you ask for a mortgage, he'll give you a mortgage. But you have not because you ask not. Lord Jesus, help me fix my car so I can make it to work. Why do you keep praying over that raggedy car? Why don't you ask God for a car that don't need fixing? You know, they roll them off the assembly line every day. How you can't get a new car? How you serve God? How you go to church and you can't get a car? Just a new car. How you can't get that from God? You know why? Because you ain't asking. You keep asking him for stuff that fit in your paycheck. Your paycheck say a 2015 Lexus, so you go down there and ask him for that. And guess what you get? A 2015 Lexus. You up your ask, he up his give. You have not because you ask not. This ain't a magic trick, man. I get tired of rich people talking to people and they make you buy these programs and stuff so they can drag you out for 8 years. I have asked God for some tremendous stuff. Everything he hasn't given to me is on the way. When I was homeless, I lived in a car for 3 years. I made some decisions in my life, man, and threw myself off a cliff. My decision in October 8th, 1985, I walked into a comedy club for the first time on a dare from a girl. Jesus. I walked into a comedy club for the first time. Had never heard of a comedy club. But all my life, I wanted to be on TV. Had never heard of a comedy club. October the 8th, I walked into Hilarity's Comedy Club in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. That's right outside Akron. I signed up for the following week because I just wanted to see what the comedians did. Man, I saw live stand-up for the first time. They had 10 acts supposed to go up. 9 of them went up. The 10th guy got scared and ran out the door. So I had signed up for the following week. The guy says, listen, we lost our 10th act. If Steve Harvey's here, come on up now. So I ran up on stage. I don't even know what to do, but I just started talking about boxing and stuff that happened to me. Audience was hollering, laughing. They brought all 10 of us back up on stage. They had a clap off. I won the clap off. I won $50. I cried from Cuyahoga Falls to Cleveland. The girl kept saying, why you crying? It ain't but $50. I said, no, you don't understand. This way more than 50. This what I do. She said, what you mean this what you do? This just your first time. You don't understand. Something happened to me. I won amateur night. I went to work the next day, October 9th, 1985, and quit my job. Now, I don't recommend that you do it that way, because 2 years later, I was homeless. Because the first year of comedy, I made $3,400. The next year, I made $4,800. And the third year, I made $5,300. I got a wife, a set of twins. I'm sending every dollar I got to them. So I tried to live on $50, $75 a week. Gas was 38 cents a gallon back then. I just stayed in my car. So I lived in my car for 3 years. 3 years, I lived in my car. And what happened was, I just said, man, so I used to fish all the time to eat, because I'm a fisherman, I'm a bass fisherman. So I used to stop at lakes and ponds and just fish. And every night, every month, I get run off from somebody's land. Hey, get away from here. Hey, move along, that's not yours. Hey, stop fishing here. I just get run off. And he didn't understand. And one time I had fish on the line. They said, you got fish on that line? I said, yeah, throw them back. I had to throw them back because I used to stop at rest areas with them little cast iron grills. I kept charcoal in my car. I started a fire and I eat fish. There's some days I wouldn't eat. So they thought I was just fishing, but I was eating. So I said one day, I said, man, you know what? One day, man, I'm gonna get myself some land. I'm gonna buy myself a piece of dirt. So fast forward, God bless me. I get on TV when I'm 38. I'm on Showtime at the Apollo. Lord have mercy. They gave me my money. I saved my money up. I saved $250,000. I said, I'm going to give me some land. That's all I wanted. Because you know the one thing I wanted? I didn't care if I put a house on it or nothing. I just wanted to be a stand somewhere and couldn't nobody run me off. I just wanted. You know, man, I was in a world of hurt. I was so sick of just getting run off, man, every time I stopped. So I got this money, man. I saved my money. I saved $250,000. I'm going and I'm looking for some land. The first day I get there, I see a piece of land in Texas, so beautiful. I couldn't believe it. Had rolling hills, had a pond on it where I could fish. The dude took me over there. I look at the land. And I'm looking out, I said, man, this is great right here. I said, sir, how much is this right here? He said, well, it's about $600,000. I said, man, I ain't got that kind of money. He said, well, how much do you have? I said, I got $250,000. He said, let me think about it. And I was standing there, and then I stopped. I said, sir, can I ask you a question, man? how many acres of land is that? He said, this is 6 acres. 6 years ago, I just asked God, just give me 6. See, I didn't want a whole lot of acres. I just wanted my cut. Just give me my 6. And so I said, ain't this crazy? So I thought about it. I said, man, what can we work out? Right before I got ready to say it, the guy that took me over there said, Steve, let me show you something right quick. He took me over to this hillbilly's house. Took me over to this hillbilly house named Jerry Campbell. I was a little nervous about meeting him, man, because I didn't like the way he talked, but mess around, turned out to be one of the finest men I ever met in my life. Became a father figure to me. It's an old white man. And took me over and showed me this land, and it was massive. It had 3 lakes on it. It had rolling hills, it had trees. It was unbelievable, man. I said, man, this is incredible. I said, man, how much is this? He said, this 16 acres. I said, hey, man, I ain't got that kind of money. Let me go on back over here to this dude where Mike can cut a deal. He said, well, let me ask you something. What was you going to give that man over there? I said, well, I hadn't worked it out yet because all I got is $250,000. He said, well, listen, I'm in a little bit of a tight right now. He said, if you can bring me $250,000 cash by tomorrow, I'll give you this 16 acres. I showed up next day, $250,000, 16 acres. See, that's grace and favor right there. That's what that is. So my first piece of land was 250 acres. So I said, man, this is the land that I'm going to save for my family. I'm going to fish on the rest of my life. I'm going to be an old man. So then I got to thinking, I said, hold up, man. You mean you have not because you asked now? I asked for 6 years ago. He showed me 6, but he gave me 16. Next thing you know, I had 270 acres of land. Now let me tell you something. I'm so busy now, I don't even get to go to that ranch. I never can go. And I thought I was going to be fishing and save it for my kids' rest of life. God had another plan for me. That's the ranch that I had my mentoring camp on. I bring 1,000 black boys out there with 1,000 single mothers. And that was the purpose of that ranch. I never go there to fish at all. But see, that's what I wanted. I thought that's what it was for. But God got another plan. His way is way bigger than yours. You can't even see his way. But you got to start to hustle. You got to give God something to work with. Look, if you start hustling and grinding, he'll fill it up for you. But if you ain't got no hustle and no grind, he can't fill it up. So guess what? I don't ever go there to use that land for fishing or not. But I'm changing boys' lives over there. My story is really a story about faith. Really is, man. I come out the dirt. I have no college degree. All of my children do. I got 7 kids. I sent their last one on to college. I got 3 boys. 2 boys come out of Morehouse. I got a daughter that come out of Spelman in Berkeley. I got 2 daughters went to Hampton, and then graduated from Ohio State. I made sure all my kids went to college because I know they got to have that education. Well, Daddy, you didn't go to college. Well, your ass ain't got no jokes. It's been important for me to empower my children, but not only my children, but thousands of young people across the country. And education is the key for a lot of people. But when I speak at colleges and stuff, I tell people, the number one thing in your world is not your education. It's your dream. So what you dreaming about, y'all? What you still dreaming about? What is God still showing you in your imagination? What are you so afraid of? Why would you not take that leap and go for it before you mess around and die? Why would you not go and see what God really got for you before you leave this world? Why would you hang on to a job? Here's what happens with the job. If you living paycheck to paycheck right now, when you retire, they're gonna give you 1/3 of what you can't live on now. They're gonna give you a gold watch and a turkey, and they're gonna set you on out to pasture. If I was you, before I leave this world, I'd go see what God really got for me. Just take a chance. Now here's why you should take the chance. Name me one time God has not pulled you through. Just name it. Name the one thing God has never pulled you through. If he ain't pulled you through it, he's currently pulling you through it right now. And the reason I know I'm telling the truth is because you're sitting in here. If God was through with you, he wouldn't wake you up no more. When he wakes you up is because he ain't through with you yet. He got something else for you. So why don't you go see what that is? Man, you owe yourself something. Go be free. Go see what God got for you. Oh, Steve, that's easy for you to say. You rich. Hell, did you hear me? I lived in a car for 3 years. October 8th, I won $50. October 9th, I quit. How big a jump you want to take? You ain't even got to do that. A lot of y'all got savings. You may not have 3 years up, but you only need a little bit. Just jump. Go see what God got for you. Quit sitting here in your life posturing like it's okay. Quit funking the fake. Quit faking the funk. Quit got people thinking you something you ain't, man, when you really know you won't be something else. I'm just telling you just like it is. You ain't got to believe me, but you can look at me. I'm telling you, it's proof in this here now that the God you serve really will give you what you ask for. He will. I'm not your preacher. I'm a hood dude that done messed around with no education. The mess around got to the top of the TV world, balling out of control. And I'm telling you, I was homeless and lived in a car, and I ain't got no education. Now y'all in here got degrees. I see it on your forehead. I see it on you. I feel when I'm around educated people. I know you know how to study and math. I can look at you, and I'm so proud of you. But hey, man, the next level. Go make yourself some money. Bible says a man without a dream or vision shall perish. It never mentions if you don't have an education.
Success secrets of African American millionaires. Give it up for the one and only Dr. Kimbro.
I know the hour is long, as I tell my business students, let people waste your money, but don't let them waste your time. I'm not going to keep you long. There's not an individual in here right now. If I gave you an hour to go back, talk to your banker, talk to your spouse, your significant other to find out exactly how much money you have, you can come back in 1 hour and tell me down to the penny how much money is in your possession. There's not an individual seated here today who can tell me how much time you have. You live a normal life, and what is a normal life? 74 to 77 years on earth. You do the calculus, that equates to 29,000 days on earth. Time is not running out, but your life is. There's not an individual seated here today who can tell me how much time you have, and if you're like me, you don't want to know. So it's critically important that we get the information. What have I done? Nothing special. For the past 7 years, I went around this country and I dared to interview, survey, and hold focus groups with no less than 1,000 black millionaires. When Martin Luther King led the Montgomery bus boycott in 1958, there were only 5 black millionaires in the United States. I interviewed 3 of the 5 and shared their story in my first book, Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. Fast forward the videotape to 2014. You have 5, well now, since Michael Jordan with the Charlotte Hornets, he's number 6, you have 6 black billionaires. I interviewed 3 of the 6 that shared their story in the Wealth Choice, and you have 35,000 black millionaires. Prince George's County, that's nothing to get excited about. 33.4 million African Americans in the United States, and you produce 35,000 black millionaires. That equates to Qatar. What do we know about Qatar? Qatar is the wealthiest country on the face of the earth. There are 30,000 millionaires in Qatar. But you got less than 1 million people who live in Qatar versus the 33.4 million African Americans who live in the United States. So the question is not wealth. When you look at Black America, there are 175 countries that belong to the United Nations. In terms of wealth, in terms of capital, in terms of GNP and GDP, Black America is the 16th wealthiest country on the face of the earth. So money's not your problem. The problem is what you do with your money. When you look at all the economic indicators that would lead to success, we are either in last place or next to last place. 27% of African Americans have no savings plan at all. 35% of African Americans spend more on a weekly basis than what they bring in. More than 40% of African Americans, and you had a number of bank and financial institutions here today, more than 40% of your race don't even use a bank, a financial institution, for their financial transactions. Now you can continue to go to the post office and get your money orders and pay your bills. But I'm a college professor. I teach at Clark Atlanta University School of Business. I can tell you right now, you can continue to do that. But if you have a child and you hold out hope of seeing that child go to college one day, you can't even get student loans because you haven't established credit. In 1897, your most prolific scholar, W.E.B. Du Bois, wrote a seminal book entitled The Negro in Business. And Du Bois went all up and down the eastern seaboard interviewing successful business owners trying to find the attributes to wealth creation. And he had two sentences in that tome, in that book, that says it all. He said, number one, the man or woman who won't control his or her finances won't control anything else. When he said anything else, he didn't mean financial matters. He was talking about quality of life. And number two, what did Du Bois say? Nothing positive will ever occur in a community that fails to circulate its dollars. You hear what he said? Nothing positive will ever occur in a community that fails to circulate its dollars. What do we know about the Black community? Well, number one, look at other communities. The average dollar in the Jewish community stays there for 19 days. The average dollar in the Asian community stays there for 24 days. The average dollar in the East Indian community stays there for 45 days, a month and a half. The average dollar in the Black community stays there for less than 6 hours. But there is a way out. The title of my book, and I'm not here to hawk books, but I'm here to give you information, is called The Wealth Choice, Success Secrets of Black Millionaires. And it is a choice. There are 50 million different choices that we, living in a free and open society, face on a daily basis. 99.9% of those choices we don't have to address. We can turn our back on them. But there are two choices that you must make day in and day out. Number one, you can accept the circumstances as they are. Or number two, you can take the responsibility to change them. Now, like I said, these 1,000 Black millionaires over a 7-year period, they took the latter approach. So who did I interview? Well, you name them, I probably interviewed. I interviewed Bob Johnson, founder of BET. I had a great interview with Steve Harvey. I interviewed Tyler Perry, Daymond John of Shark Tank. Had a great interview with Antonio Reed of X Factor, Lisa Price of Carol's daughter. I spent 2 days with Kathy Hughes, one of your Black billionaires. Had a great interview with Dave Stewart, another one of your Black billionaires. With the focus groups and the surveys that I had, like I said, 1,000 Black millionaires. And the subtitle of the book, as we wrap this puppy up, is called The 7 Laws of Wealth. I found 7 best practices that these men and women adhere to, if not on a weekly basis, then certainly on a monthly basis. Now the number one is knowledge. Prosperity begins in the mind but ends in the purse. If you don't read, if you don't study, if you don't grow, if you don't develop, if you don't go to the seminars, if you don't go to the conferences, if you don't take in the information, somebody out in the universe will. And the day you meet that other person, you lose. money you earn? What would compel you to take that class? And he says, well, everybody's trying to get in the sports and entertainment business. The bottom line, this is a business. But number two, I learned a long time ago, the moment that you cease to grow and develop, you begin to die. There I am with Bishop T.D. Jakes and his book-line study at the Potter's house. And I'm looking at every book on God's green earth you'd ever want to read, study, or examine in your life. And what in the world do we know about Bishop T.D. Jakes? Number one, they told him he would never make it in the ministry. He has a heavy list. If you listen closely enough, you can hear the list. Number two, he's a high school dropout. Yeah, he went back and got his GED, but he never finished high school. Number three, they damn near ran him out of Charleston, West Virginia with only 8 members. But here we are in 2014, Prince George's County. You fast forward the videotape today and look at him now. 191,000 square foot mega facility, 30,000 member, $45 million budget. And there I am in his study, and bam, all of a sudden the bishop comes in. And I said, Bishop, I'm not getting on the plane and flying back to Atlanta until we talk about wealth and prosperity. But number one, they said, your critics said you would never make it in the ministry. He said, well, my critics aren't altogether wrong. The list was still there. But I don't care if I had to spit, I don't care if I had to stutter, I don't care if I had to stammer, I had something to say, and doggone it, I was going to say it. I said, okay, you got an open mic, say it. He said, the keys to wealth creation, easy. Give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, feed him for a lifetime. Well, like Kelvin Boston said, show him how he can buy the pond, and no one in his family will ever know struggle. What are the two important words in business? Own it.
Yeah.
So number one is knowledge. Number two, you gotta make a conscious decision you won't be poor. At the counter of success, there are no bargains. You must pay the price in advance and in full. But damn it, you got to decide. And that's what these individuals did. I told you, you got 6 black billionaires. You had 10 other individuals. If it weren't for the 07-08 recession, they would have joined billionaire status. One of them, his name was Victor McFarland. McFarland Partners, real estate developer out in San Francisco. Last time President Obama was on the West Coast, he had dinner at McFarland's estate. Guy's worth about $600 million. But here's the key. Born and raised in Middletown, Ohio to a single parent. Raised by a single parent in a blue-collar working-class community. And he told me that the first 12 years of his life, 1-bedroom apartment, and that bedroom apartment was for his mother. There was a couch out in the waiting area. He told me for the first 12 years of his life, he and his older sister slept on that couch. And when he shared that with me, I said, damn, that had to be tough, man. 12 years sleeping on the couch. He saw where I was going with the conversation, cut me off the knees and says, Doc, I don't want any sympathy, no empathy. When I look back at it, probably the best 12 years of my life. I said, translate, Victor. He said it was during that 12-year period I made a conscious decision that poverty would have no place in my life. I'm telling you right now, I didn't choose to be here, and you didn't choose to be here. What's the bottom line, baby girl? The bottom line, you were chosen. You were chosen by your Creator at this place and time. You don't have to answer my question, but sooner or later you're going to answer it to somebody. When it is all said and done, what will all this say about you? When you look back on your life, when you take your final breath and no one gets out of this life alive, when you look back over the events of life, can you give me the 5 great events of your life? What have you been chosen? What have you been sent here to do? I don't tell everybody you gotta be an entrepreneur, you gotta be a millionaire. No, I want you fulfilled. Which brings up the 4th law. What are your unique gifts? What are your unique gifts? What is your area of excellence? Do you even know your area of excellence? What do you do better than anybody else? 3 questions you gotta ask yourself about your area of excellence. Number 1, what do you love to do? What do you have a passion for? What can you throw your whole heart and soul into? Question number 2, what would you do for free? If no one paid you a dime, gave you financial reward for your efforts, what would you do for free? Because when you're doing what you love to do, when you would do it for free, your work is your play. And when your work is your play, you'll never work a day in your life. You go to Washington, D.C., and you knock on the door to the Commerce Department, and they will give you 33,000 different SIC codes. Dr. Kimbro, what the hell is an SIC code? 33,000 different trades, different vocations, different job titles. From being a rocket scientist to flipping hamburgers at Burger King, and you can't tell me one that you love to do? Question number 3. What is your area of unfair competitive advantage? Now you look at me, I look back at my career. 50 million different things I can do in my life, but number 1, I know I can write. Number 2, I know I can teach. Every year, every professor at Clark Atlanta is graded by students on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 is poor, 5 is outstanding. I've been there since 1992. I have yet to be graded less than 4.92. So number 1, I know I can write. Number 2, I know I can teach. Number 3, I know I can communicate effectively. I'd be a fool not to exploit that. So what is your area of excellence? Your creator does not waste time. You're not in this world to set it right. No, damn it, you're in this world to see it right. Jesus, where in the world have you been? Don't you know people have been looking for you? You've been absent for 3 days. You had people worried. And what was his response? Worried? Me? Absent 3 days? Should have known I was about my Father's business. What in the world is your Father's business?
Yeah.
Your Father's business is to raise consciousness. Your Father's business is to take in the information. Your Father's business is to be better today than you were yesterday, not superior to anybody else. There is a key to success, and what is the key to success? Information. Take in the information. Growth and development. Growth and development. Oh ye hypocrite. You can discern the face of the sky, but you know the sign of the times. In other words, you don't like your life when you created it. Dr. Kimbro, how in the world did I create it? Change your thoughts. Change your thoughts. Everything occurs to you twice in life. First the inner, then the outer. First the thought, then the thing. First the mental, and then the physical. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. So what do you think? We got some brothers in here tomorrow's Father's Day. Man, I don't mean to get up in your Kool-Aid, but I would be remiss if I didn't say it. All we need are a few good brothers. That's all we need. Don't need a whole bunch. Just a few good brothers. Look at your Lord and Savior. Everything that we enjoy about spirituality. Because of one man? Yeah, I know he had 7,000 followers. I know he coached 50. I know he mentored 12. But the day he took his final breath, only 3 were there to see it. It doesn't take many, just a handful. Few good brothers. Well, like I said, I tell my men at Clark Atlanta, I said, you took all the black men who are currently incarcerated right now at a federal maximum security facility. I did not say jail. You got what, 26 maximum security from Attica in New York to Sing Sing, out in San Quentin? You got one right there in Atlanta. Lord have mercy, if you knew how many times I've been in there speaking to them. But if you took all the black males right now who are currently incarcerated at a maximum security facility, and you confined them to one central location. That central location would constitute the 12th largest city in the nation. Larger than Memphis, larger than Charlotte, larger than Las Vegas, larger than San Francisco, larger than Oakland and Miami combined. There's a footstool that it's a sheet of music that as a race we have got to play off of, and we can't deviate for the next 20 years. When Martin Luther King sat at the footsteps of the Lincoln Memorial and gave his I Have a Dream speech, August 28th, 1963, 1 out of 5. It's a sheet of music that we gotta flip the script. We gotta get with the game plan. Number 1, wealth creation. Number 2, entrepreneurship. And number 3, restoration of the black man. That is it. We can't deviate. Years ago, I had an interview with Andy Young. Here's a man who walked side by side, arm in arm, hand in hand with Martin Luther King. You know what he told me almost 7 years ago? He said, when me and Dr. King, we integrated the lunch counter, but we failed to integrate the dollar. And I said, Mr. Ambassador, how does anybody integrate the dollar? He said, well, somebody's got to come up with the trades, the keys, and the qualities of competing effectively in a capitalistic economy. And then he told me something that drove me to my knees. He said, you know, the Montgomery bus boycott really wasn't about sitting in the front of the bus. I said, Mr. Ambassador, obviously that is one email, one memo my race did not receive. You got civil rights organizations out here today that still believes it's about sitting in the front of the bus. John Johnson didn't tell me that. You go read the first 3 pages of the Wealth Choice, and what did John Johnson tell me? John Johnson, founder of Every Magazine, he said we can eat what we want to eat, sleep what we want to sleep, live what we want to live, send our kids to the finest schools. The problem is we can't afford to. Until you are free economically, you will never be free personally. So there you are. Number 1 is knowledge. Number 2, decide. Number 3, believe in yourself when no one else will. Gotta get out of here. Oh yeah, you're gonna be tested. But if you knew who walks beside you every day of your life, you would never doubt or fear again. I asked Tyler Perry, I said, Tyler, how in the world did you go from sleeping in your car in New Orleans, sleeping in your car in Atlanta, Georgia, to building a $145 million production studio? He said, nothing but the grace of God.
Yeah.
I asked David John, I said, David, what was the defining moment in your life? He said, when I had to burn the furniture. I said, my brother, what do you mean burn the furniture? He said, when I finally got financing to launch my FUBU line, I hired all these seamstresses and they showed up at my mother's house with all their equipment. I had no place to put the sewing machines. I said, so what did you do? He said, I took all the furniture of my mother's house, put it in the backyard and set it on fire.
Yeah.
See, that's belief. See, you were born with that type of belief. See, you were born with love. Fear is what you learned. Never precocious about your God. Where the hell do you think ideas come from? An idea comes from your creator, knocking on your subconscious, asking you, do you want more out of life? Don't you know the average individual gets 4 ideas a year, any one of which, if you have the guts, the courage, the fortitude to chase your dream, will make you financially independent. They ask me all the time, well, what is the difference between the guy who goes ahead and starts his business and then the guy who's overcome by fear? I said, well, the millionaire, because I interviewed these millionaires are overcome by fear too. You got 2 individuals. Here you got a guy, he's in corporate America for 5 years, jumps out of corporate America, gets sick of his job, chases his dream, starts a business. After 1 year, no one is using his product, no one is using his service. He's scared to death, he's behind on his mortgage, he's about to lose his car, he's scared to death of losing his house, so what does he do? He blows off the dust of his resume, throws it back in there, and looks for a job in corporate America. Then you got one of the black millionaires, been in corporate America for 5 years, wants to chase his dream, jumps out there, after a year, no one is using his product, no one is using his service. He's behind on his mortgage, he's about to lose his car, but instead of blowing the dust off his resume, instead of fearing losing his house and losing his car, he fears losing his life. One is afraid of losing the house, the other one is afraid of losing his life. I just can't do that anymore. This is my one shot and I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
And I've seen it over and over again. Hell, I was with Kathy Hughes for 2 days. I sat in that radio station, she slept on the floor. She did that for a year. In that restroom down at the corner, where she and her son bathed in that restroom and they ate off a hot plate. Can you say billionaire? And damn it, shame on you, Black America, shame on you. did. And I have yet to see him being profiled on TV. Come to my house, sit in my study in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll give you the remote to my flat screen. Cut it on. And you might find Bill Gates being interviewed. You might find Warren Buffett being interviewed. You might find Reid Hoffman of LinkedIn. Chad Hurley of YouTube. But when's the last time you've seen one of your wealth creators being interviewed? You're the only race that does not put your wealth creators on a pedestal. And I'm gonna tell you who has a big problem with that, and that's Malcolm Gladwell. In case you haven't read Malcolm Gladwell, shame on you, you're already behind. Keep your job because you will need it. He wrote Blink, he wrote Tipping Point. Malcolm Gladwell was on a TV being interviewed. And before they wrapped up the interview, the host said, Malcolm, is there any trends out there that have you concerned? That have you really focused, like problems out there you'd like to solve? And he stroked his face and he says, yes, before we wrap up. He said, please tell my viewers, what is it? He says, I'm concerned about the hundreds of thousands of black school children. Then he changed it to millions. He said, I'm concerned about the millions of black school children who live in communities and go to school every day and never see a black man in a suit and tie.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you the same thing Ben Carson told me years ago, what thou seest, that thou beest. Be very particular who you associate with. Hang around 9 broke people, sooner or later you're gonna be number 10. You be very particular. So there you are. Focus on unique gifts. Number 5, please go serve somebody. Service is the price you pay for the space that you occupy. I don't care if you're homeless and you're standing on a street corner with a cardboard sign, I will work for food. You got the same opportunity as Bill Gates. What the hell do we know about Bill Gates? 54 billion, do the calculus. That's $67,000 a second. You got the same opportunity as Bill Gates. That's Kimbro. You gotta be kidding me. How can you say that? Because anybody can wow the customer. Anybody can do more than what is expected, more than what is required. Anybody can go the extra mile. Anybody can make the eyeballs move. 21 different ways to market and sell a product or service. Don't violate the number 1 law of marketing. What is the number one law of marketing? Make my eyeballs move. 21 different ways you can do that. Number 1 is word of mouth. Number 2, handing out flyers. Number 21 is internet. Right now, there are more than 700 million websites across the globe. You got 240 million right here in the United States. But look, damn it, you don't have a single website geared toward black America for the positive, spiritual, emotional, and professional uplift of black America. What is your number 1 website? What is it? hiphopstar.com, hip-hop, whatever that is.
Wow.
Rap shit on steroids. BET 40 years ago. Booty shaking to the max. That's your number 1 website, 1 million hits per day, while the rest of the world is looking at TED Talks. I said enough.
No, you didn't.
Somebody said it couldn't be done, but he with the chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one to wait and say till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried he did it, started to sing as he tackled the thing. That couldn't be done and he did it. Somebody scoffed, he'll never do that, at least no one ever has done it. He took off his coat and he took off his hat, and the first thing we know, he would done it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin without any doubting or quitting. He started to sing as he tackled the thing. That couldn't be done and he did it. There are thousands that said it could not be done. There are thousands of prophecy failure. There are thousands ready to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you. But with a lift of your chin and a bit of your grin, just take off your coat and go to it. You started to sing as you tackle the thing. There's no financial deficit in this country. There's a spiritual deficit. Everybody talk about the next generation over there, this and that, pants heads are slagging. What in the world do you expect? You let these experts we're gonna take prayer out of school. If you ain't on crack you need to be, how the hell can you take prayer out of anything? You blindfold me and I'll envision a prayer. Put a sock in my mouth, put some duct tape over my mouth, and I'll hum a prayer. Go out there and get a rock, get a stick, knock me unconscious, I'll dream a prayer. As a matter of fact, I'm praying right now. Our Father who art in heaven.
Yeah.
Spit in his face, I'll show you Martha's Harvey. Slam the school door in the face, she becomes Mary in the cloud of film. Write him off as another fatherless black male, I'll show you Ben Carson. Make him shine your shoes, turns out to be James Brown. Disobey his orders, I'll show you Colin Powell. Blind him, he becomes Stevie Wonder. Rape her, I'll show you Maya Angelou. Tell her she can't lead, she becomes Michelle Obama. Tell her she can't write, show you Maya Angelou, Toni Morris. Throw him in a prison cell. You got two choices. You got Nelson Mandela, you got Malcolm X. Deny him adequate startup capital. And all the thousands that I interviewed and surveyed, all of them started off at zero. Don Stewart, one of your billionaires, he was $2 million in debt before the tide turned in his favor. But the bottom line, what did Mary tell Martha? He is able.
All right. Sir, with the prophetic word. Yes, sir.
Hey, Jay, all the way from Hawaii.
Sir, with how prophetic you were to us today, speaking to us as adults, I gotta ask the question, what do you say to black teenagers?
Tell them, number one, tell them you love them. My colleagues tell me all the time, how can you tell your students that you love them? We won't say, I hate you. You can't give it till you own it, and I don't own hate. I don't own hate. No, 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 no. What are the three toughest things in the world to do? Number one, return love for hate. Return love for hate. All you gotta do is look at Nelson Mandela, look at Malcolm X, look at Gandhi. They changed the world and none of them had an army. All they did is give love for hate. What in the world do you know about Martin Luther King? Here's a man, 5'7", 177 pounds. Number one, he didn't finish high school. He entered Morehouse at age 15. He skipped 11th grade. I mean, what else do we know? First of all, his name is not Martin. His name was Michael. His father had his name changed to Martin on a family vacation in Germany to honor the German theologian Martin Luther. Number two, got up the same time of day, every day, 6:15 in the morning, ate the same breakfast. Robert, you're gonna be mad at him. Coffee and orange juice. The first hour of the day, prayer and devotion. He had 200 books in his study. Prayer. The man lived in the moment. Dr. K, what in the world are you talking about living in the moment? What's the first thing that I do when I get up in the morning? Prayer and devotion. I go down to my study, I get centered, I give my first 5 or 10 minutes of the day to my Creator to smooth out the bumps, then I read my prayer and devotion. What's the last thing I do before this head hits the pillow?
Prayer and devotion?
Yeah. I end the day with my closing prayer, so I live my life between two prayers. What else do we know about Martin Luther King? 3 times his house was firebombed. And each time his wife and 4 kids were in that house. You didn't even know Martin Luther King owned a gun, did you? Yeah, he owned a gun until he came to the realization, man, I'm the father of nonviolence, threw it away. 1963, gave more than 300 speeches, traveled more than 300,000 miles to give 300 speeches, always flew first class. Dr. King, yeah, he's got to fly first class. No, he didn't fly first class because of his ego, because he was narcissistic. The reason why he always flew first class was he got to the airport, when he got to the terminal, when he got to the gate, when the other passengers on that flight saw who was going to be on that plane with them, no one wanted to sit next to him. Some of them call the pilot and the flight attendants out. Why couldn't we put him that he would park? I'll throw him on the first plane. Never earned more than $10,000 over the course of his life. Now my hotshot know-it-all NBA student, Dr. Kimbro, he did win the Nobel Prize, and with that came a cash windfall. I said, yeah. But he gave every dime back to the movement except $10,000. He had to borrow $10,000 from his father-in-law to pay his taxes. Return love for hate. The one thing I never let my students pass on. First day of my class, I said, everybody pull out a sheet of paper and you write the number 30 on that sheet of paper, and I want you to scotch tape it to your mirror and look at it every day. Look at that number 30, day in and day out. What is so significant about the number 30? Over the course of his adult life, he averaged minimum 30 racial prank-filled phone calls per day. Phone ring, nigga, I know it, click. Phone ring, nigga, I'm gonna click. Phone ring, nigga, I'm gonna get your pants, click. And you can't reach your goals. And you can't be bigger than what you are. And you can't make a difference. And you can't say, damn it, enough is enough. If any other race was burdened with half of their young males finishing high school, they'd be picketing in the street right now. If that happened to Jewish males, Asian males, Irish, Polish, Catholic, you couldn't even walk down the thoroughfares right now and say, no, we ain't going out like this. But us, business as usual. Every 92 seconds of the day, a black child born to a teen mother. Every 90 seconds of the day, a black child born to a teen mother who will never finish high school. Every 90 seconds of the day, black male suspended. Every 4 minutes of the day, black male convicted of a violent crime. Every 40 minutes of the day, a black male dies. And no one says a thing. No one says a thing. Adios, we gotta go.
Dennis Kimbro, we nominate here. We're gonna give away the pattern real quick. Robert Williams.